You doubted me, didn't you guys? You doubted me. You thought Uncle Grizz doesn't know how to start an intro and go live at the same time. Sometimes listen to me always. This is what I always tell you, look. Sometimes listen to me always. Welcome back to the Red Room, people. It's that time of day and night where we're not usually on. Basically, we're usually on at Tuesdays, 8 p.m., but we thought we delay proceedings. We sensed there might be news to talk about. Our senses were spot on. Wow. The summer of 24-25 continues to be a madness. As Liverpool add number 5, am I right, guys? Number 5, signing number 5. Yes. Oh, go on, Lou. Are you going to count the keeper? Is that what you're saying?
Do you not count Freddie Woodman as a key component in the summer
already
window?
a cult icon.
All right. Okay. Lewis, forever the man with the stats and facts. All right, cool. Signing number 6 has entered the building, people. Signing number 6 has entered the building that is known as Liverpool Football Club. Wow. And we all envisage, we all hope, and we all pray that there's at least another 2. At least, I say, another 2. This is madness. This is the Red Room. To discuss it with me, I have the panel in front of you. Don't need to go through them one by one. I'm not even going to ask them how they are. We'll just let them get straight into it because it's late. Have Spurs? I've just heard Spurs have done a Spursy. I'm sure the comments will keep us posted in terms of if they can get over the line. We were just talking off air and thinking if they win on penalties, Keith came out with it. If they win on penalties, it will actually banish a lot of demons, right, Keith? Because this is the ultimate penalty shooter, as the ultimate sort of test of mentality, right? And that's
as you said, all that PSG just missed their first penalty. So,
it was a shocking pen as well. He went wide, totally wide.
And exactly that. You have to banish Spursy. If they pull this off right now, win on penalties, we got to put Spursy under temporary confinement because
this is madness. Absolute madness. What's happening? Let me just tweet that we're going live because we haven't tweeted it. But here we go. We're tweeting we're going live. So if anybody wants to join us, they can join us from over on Facebook as well. On Twitter as well. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. Giovanni Leoni. First and foremost, what a name. I'm going to come to you first, Welshmo. What a name. What a beast he looks like. And he's Italian. That's all I know. I'm going to be honest. Right now, that's all I know. What do you make of this?
Likewise, I don't know much, but since we've been linked with him, I was deep diving in YouTube. And yeah, like you said, he's tall, he's strong, he's got a great physical attributes about him. Apparently, he models himself on Van Dijk, which is, I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's what's coming out lately. And from what I see, I mean, Lukaku's still an international striker, plays international football, and I watched extended highlights in a game he played against them, and he bodied Lukaku. He bullied him off the ball, and he got, he just outclassed him. So I thought, okay, maybe there's something there. I don't know Liverpool's tactic, and obviously we're going to deep dive into that. Whether he's going to be one for the future, whether he's going to be one for the current, whether there's lots of movement in the defensive area, which I'm sure we're going to chop up today in this chat. But yeah, so far I think he's, what a signing it could be, definitely.
Lewis, any videos first and foremost pending? Have you lined up a few videos about him? Let us know what you've done about him and what you've said about him. But otherwise, look, what do we know? We know the fee now that it's come out to be around £26 million mark. 18 years old. We know he's 6'5", plays for Parma, and there is rave reviews all around Europe about this fella, or this kid, I should say.
Yeah, so I did a video about a week ago on him, and when he was at Parma, I believe. I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head because I haven't got it in front of me. But when it was for the under-13s, he actually got called up to the under-16s because he was that physically ahead of the rest of the squad. There was a bit of an injury crisis, and he got through right in at the deep end, and that's how he sort of paved the way for his career. He's been compared to Alessandro Bastoni, which is high praise indeed. He's an ambidextrous type of player. He's comfortable playing on the left and the right. He's left-footed and right-footed, 6'5". The only thing with him, he hasn't quite got the passing metrics to sort of back it up. But I believe last season in the Serie A, I've got it in front of me, he's in the top 16% for blocks, top 27% for clearances. He is literally your physical powerhouse who's going to get right on top of defenders, put a foot in. He's a defensive monster, and he's 18 years old, and he's already bigger than me, and I'm 28. So I cannot wait to see what this lad develops into. He feels like he's someone who, Mo is absolutely right. He based his career off of Van Dijk. That's who he idolized growing up. He watched the Premier League a lot when he was a young lad. So he is someone who has studied the game, and he's based his football around Van Dijk's sort of calm demeanor, his approach to games, which sees him not expend too much energy. His just positional sense is top quality. And yeah, in terms of players who are going to be good for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years and onwards, there are a few better that we could have got in Europe. And for the price that we've got him for, and it's the under 18 international who has been getting touted with getting called up to the senior team in the next year or two. There's far worse signings we could be making this summer for that defensive reinforcement.
Keith, I had one worry about the season going into this season. And I've mentioned this before as well in the first reincarnation of the Liverpool model, which was about the club. And I don't know if you remember Red Fella's episodes where we spoke about players that are naturally switched on defensively first. Remember, I made a point about even in the Liverpool club team, there was only Fabinho, Konate, Robertson, who I'd say were thinking defense first. Everyone else, even Virgil, and of course Trent, even Alisson would think attack. How do we transition quickly? Attack. It was vital we bring in someone. Added to the fact that we've fixed the creativity and the pace and everything else with Frimpong, Kerkez, Wirtz, Kitike, and Isak, hopefully as well. It was imperative that we balance it up with someone who loves defending. Do you remember the old notion of just put your body on the line? Well, this guy looks like the type that puts his body, huge body on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Slot already alluded to it around end of July, when he said we haven't replaced Konza yet. And this signing is the replacement of Konza. And it's really interesting hearing, because I haven't watched, I'm not going to sit here and say I've watched him at all. I've seen the reports, the highlights, etc. It was really interesting to see that. I almost thought to myself, if it was the other way around and Konza was the one that was playing at Parma, would he be described quite similarly in the fact that very aggressive, big, lights put in a tackle, and with Konza, he's actually pretty decent on the ball as well. So I'm intrigued to see if Slot not rating Konza, because after that first game he never really did, and the club kind of bringing in someone else of this stature, it'll be interesting to see whether this is the answer to that problem, which is ultimately the successor to Van Dijk. We're getting very, very close to that. Someone's got to take that position at some point. So, everything that's been spoken about this kid feels very similar to what Konza did. And if that's so, then I think this is a good signing. It's something to be excited about, because I was actually quite a big fan of Konza. I just think it just never worked out for him because of the games. He played in some high pressure games, and this Italian kid that's coming in now, he's going to have to play in some tough games, big games, etc. I hope that he passes the mark, because I think one of the things that impacted Konza so much was that in certain big games, you make mistakes, and it took him a while to recover from it because of his young age, as is Leoni right now with his young age. So that's where I'm at with this signing at the moment. I think he's, it's good that we found the Konza replacement and we've done it so swiftly. We didn't try and do what we did when we won the league last time and go into the season with 3 centre-backs.
We're way too advanced. There was panic stations and people thinking, "Oh my God, we're undercooked." Doing depth charts again, month out. It's quite silly of people to do that. But if we manage to do what we're trying to do in the last couple of weeks, we'll address this topic and subject again. Coming to you, Scousemo. I've got a massive thing about Italian centre-backs, always growing up through my teenage years, my early 20s, my 30s, my 40s. Shall I carry on?
Carry on.
I've always thought Italian centre backs, like every race. How do I say this without being clipped up and called all sorts? I've got to keep it simple. Sometimes I say things and I regret it. Okay.
Do you know what you say? Nationality. So every nationality. Every
nationality. Yeah, every race. Yes, sorry, stupid.
Yeah, nation in football.
Every nation has a special, like what's the word? What they're known for. There's another word.
An attribute about them.
Actually, there's another word. Chat always helps me out. But you guys know where it's late today. It's late. It's been hot. It's late. I haven't got a hat on, so you know where I am when I ain't got a hat on. I'm lost, right? But every nation has a trait in their players that they're known for as a nation, right? And what are Italy known for?
Defending.
Yeah.
And this guy comes across, Mo, as one of those.
He really does. And as you mentioned, like Italian heritage of defenders, there's so many that you can name. Like, oof, where do you begin? Baresi from back in the day. You got Maldini, you got Nesta, you got Cannavaro. There's a huge list of players, but I'll caveat that by saying maybe over the last 5 to 8 years, there hasn't been that many great centre-backs from Italy. Obviously, apart from Thingy and Bastoni at the moment, he's probably the best one out there. But yeah, this lad looks interesting. As the rest of the lads have said, I haven't watched much of him playing for Parma. The sample size is very small as well. I think he's got like 30 career games, which is very small. So it's quite interesting. Like, obviously, Liverpool are willing to pay 26 million for him, so we must have seen something good from him in those 30 games. 6'5", 18, and he is a physical beast. The clips that I've seen of him from YouTube so far, this lad loves a slide tackle. He loves getting stuck in. He loves defending. As you mentioned just before, Grizz, you like them old school defenders, like that like to get stuck in and defend, like proper warriors. That's the type of centre backs that I grew up watching, and I enjoyed them the most. So yeah, it's a very interesting signing. I'll caveat that by saying maybe disagreeing a little bit with Keith. If he's coming in to be like our third choice centre back, maybe I'm not too comfortable with that. I'm saying that because I'm not too aware, I'm not too educated about him. Maybe he can come in and he's good enough to be our third choice centre back. But from where I'm standing right now, I haven't seen him play. So I'm hoping there's a other centre back that we're linked to, and I'm sure we're going to come on to him. Hopefully he can come in and he can be like our second/third centre back. He can battle Konate, and then having this lad Leoni as like our fourth choice centre back who can grow into the role. You know, we can nurture him. You know, unlock the talent that he clearly has and that we're clearly willing to invest into, and see him grow. I think that will be the best position for him in the squad.
Yeah, look, the question on everyone's lips now, I guess, is does this end our pursuit of Marc Guehi? And like you says, Scousemo, that does this end? So does this mean that he is the replacement and we're going to go with Gomez? We saw pictures of Gomez back in team training. Well, Shmo, do you anticipate? Would you be disappointed, like Scousemo is saying, about if this kid is supposed to be our third, fourth choice? I mean, if fully fit, I'd still say Gomez is our third choice if fully fit, but that's a massive if, as we know. What's your views on the centre-back situation, or are you still adamant and it's imperative that we bring in another centre-back to give us a quarter of 5 then, guys? Are we being a bit too greedy? Let's be realistic. What's the situation?
I want another centre-back purely because we don't really know what's happening with Konate, and a lot of his news came out today, a bit late in the night, that a certain club in Spain are sniffing around him, and they've kept a registration spot open in their squad. So
that is not going anywhere.
But he hasn't extended.
But I see what you mean. So are you suggesting that because we don't know Konate's future, he's not going anywhere this season? But are you saying that because we don't know his long-term commitment?
Yeah.
Why not?
Guehi's available, someone who's proven. Sorry to interrupt. And we're future planning. So and it could be future planning for either VVD or Konate because we don't know where we stand with Konate. Now, I have a hope that Konate does sign. I got a feeling that 6 months down the line, he sees what we're building and wants to be a part of it, and he extends. Great, but we still have Guehi already through the door if it is Guehi to be. But so I just think because I think it's future planning. That's all, and we're always linked with the word opportunistic for Liverpool when it comes to signing, and this is the most opportunistic signing you can get. He's a year left in his contract. He's a proven Premiership defender. My only concern with Guehi, and I don't know whether anyone agrees with me, is how much has he played in a back four? He's always played in a back three. So is that going to be a concern for anyone? Just throwing it out there.
Lewis, because it's true. He has been, as I said, I don't profess to be an expert. I have actually got an Italian commentator coming on my channel this week. Keep your eyes and ears and noses and everything else open and peeled. There is an issue with that, but that's why I don't think he'll be thrown in anywhere near the first team, probably initially.
Yeah, it is true he does predominantly play in a back three, but when he's been away with England, sometimes he's done a back four, and he's arguably been our best defender at points. He's capable of playing in that back four. I think he's a very versatile player. This is the thing. He might be more suited to a back three, but I just think he's got the capability of doing either or. And I said earlier on BBC, I think that Guehi's signing represents the immediate. It's now. It's a signing for now. He wants to fight for the first team. He's someone who can challenge the first team, whereas Leoni is someone for 2, 3, 4 years down the line. He's a long-term project. And right now, with a title to defend and Champions League to go for, we're not in a position to be bringing in players who are for the future. We need to be looking at the here and now. And the here and now dictates Konate's only got 1 year left. Gomez is very injury-prone. Van Dijk's 34 years old, and he will get back to his best.
And looked it on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my worry. So we need people who can immediately come in and impact this back four, be it off the bench, be it as a starter, what have you. Signing Leoni alone doesn't do that. And I think that if we were to not get Guehi, given the fact that Steve Parish said, look, he will not be leaving on a free next summer, we will have to sell him this year. I 100% believe that we can break down Palace's stone wall defense on this and get him signed in the next few weeks. Because if we don't, putting our faith in Gomez staying fit and Konate staying fit bar last season and Leoni coming good and Endo being our third, fourth choice is a very big risk when we've got a Premier League title to defend.
Agree. Yeah, Keith. I don't know what we do. Like, Gomez is going to be fit. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is going to be with him, because obviously the journalists have said we have no intention of loaning this kid out. So he is bought for the now to be involved in the first team. But that will give us 5 centre-backs. We have to count Joe Gomez in that, unfortunately or fortunately, wherever you look at it. Joe Gomez is still active, training again. But there's no harm in going in there with 4 centre-backs plus Joe Gomez, because Joe Gomez is literally just he's a spare part right now, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah, but again, Grizz, when I was speaking earlier about like what would you go in the market for right now? If you're going to look for a versatile defender that's been a Premier League winner, won the Champions League, can play literally across the back four, can plug in at any point, any time, then you'd probably get him like on a free, or like bring him into the squad to do that exact job. I think Gomez for me is not really seen as like a centre-back challenging for the centre-back to partnership, if that makes sense. He comes across to me more as a player that's going to be filling in specific moments when needed, right? Either coming at right back and maybe going to a 5 when Slot wants to bring on an extra defender to protect the lead, which he's done a few times, bringing on extra defender, or fill in when injuries occur, right? Because, it's going to be a long old season. So I think Joe Gomez has got he's got a sweet deal at Liverpool, really, when you really deep it. His fitness is terrible, bless him. You know what I mean? He's had so many bad injuries.
So you're saying we've been loyal to him, like he's been loyal to us, but we've been loyal.
Yeah, that's club loyalty right there, really. You know what I mean? We've never told Gomez, like, he's been under what? This is his, He was under Brendan Rodgers, right?
He's the oldest.
Yeah, he's the only player. Yeah,
he's the only player
Brendan Rodgers, Jurgen Klopp, and Arne Slot. So 3 managers, 3 completely different, styles and mentalities, and he's managed to keep his seat in that dressing room the entire time, and it's with good reason because he is versatile. When he gets a good run of games, he is still a very good player. There's a very good player in him. Just physically, he doesn't trust his own body, which can show, particularly in big games. And ultimately, unfortunately, he picks up things from time to time that sets him back. But it's a long old slog, isn't it, of a season? You know what I mean? 60, 65 games, potentially. There's going to be a lot more chances for Gomez. And just to sum it up, really, he's not going to be challenging Guehi or Leoni for those centre-back positions at all. Really? It will be them two. Konate and Van Dijk, and that will be the main battle, I think, for a number 1 spot. Gomez, it'll be played where he can fit in.
Yeah.
Is that how you see it, Mo, as well? Scouse Mo, is that how you see it as well? And we're comfortable with that, right? Look, we know Bradley is injury prone as well, unfortunately, even though he's young and he shouldn't be, or not shouldn't be, but that's the way he's built, and apparently he's still growing. Jeremy Frimpong is our right back right now. Gomez is able deputy there as well. Like Keith says, he can be an auxiliary man, basically, right?
Yeah, and you need them in your team. I completely agree with Keith. If he's like that 4th/5th/ defensive option, you can play, as Keith mentioned, fully across the board in defense, and he can even cover DM, to be honest, because we've seen him do that like 2 seasons ago. But hopefully we don't see
that was horrible. Do you remember
that happen? But worst case scenario.
Scenario.
You know what I mean? But we don't want to see that happen. But yeah, he could cover that left back. He can cover that right back. As you mentioned, Conor Bradley's injured again, which is so frustrating because I was hoping he could go into this, have a good preseason and then go into the season on fire. But unfortunately, he's injured again. So we need someone like Joe Gomez. And to be fair, if he wasn't injured this season, I think this season was probably the season that would sell him. But obviously, he's only just coming back from injury now. He had a long-term injury, then he got injured again during preseason. So the likelihood of even trying to get rid of him would be very slim. I like Joe Gomez. Everything that Keith mentioned, I agree with. The other centre-halves, I think with Guehi, I was watching your podcast earlier with Ben Jacobs, and I recommend everyone to go and watch that. Quick little plug there. I think the way he broke it down was very interesting in regards to Guehi, in terms of because I heard rumours that the personal terms were agreed. But then Ben Jacobs on your channel earlier on today mentioned that it's kind of 50-50 at the moment, which I found kind of interesting because if you're Marc Guehi, would you, and obviously there's a World Cup coming up and that's what he's got his focus on, and he's club captain of Crystal Palace, and obviously he's got huge respect for Crystal Palace. That's the team that's basically rescued him from Chelsea and gave him this opportunity that he has now. But he should have confidence in himself to think, I'm going to come to Liverpool and I'm going to take a place from Konate. That's the type of mentality that I want from that fair choice centre back, and I'm hoping that is the type of mentality that he does have, because I do think he is very good enough to be in our starting 11, and he will get a lot of games playing with us because we're going to have so many games next season. 38 in the 38 in the Premier League, and then hopefully we're looking at 8 in the Champions League and hopefully a lot more in the Champions League. So there's going to be a lot of games, and we know what Konate's injury record's like. I feel like if Konate, touch wood, hopefully he doesn't, but if he does get injured and Guehi comes in, I think Konate's going to really struggle to take that shirt off him. And that will be his route into the team eventually. And yeah, I was impressed with Guehi the other day against Crystal Palace. I think I was watching him a little bit, had a closer eye on him in the Crystal Palace team. There's a few players that stood out to me in that Crystal Palace game, or the Crystal Palace players. But Guehi stood out to me in terms of people try and discount his physicality. I think he is quite physical.
Yes.
He is very strong. He's not an easy person to get past. He's fast, he's strong, he's good in the air as well. Even though he's not the tallest, he's still quite good in the air. And on the ball, he is magnificent. Honestly, on the ball, he's fantastic. He's so cool, calm, and composed, and he always finds the right pass. So, yeah, that's the guy that I really want. I really hope Marc Guehi signs, and hopefully we will be able to persuade him to join us.
Let's address the Marc Guehi situation then. Mo, Welsh, I'll come to you first. So what we know was Steve Parish, the Crystal Palace chairman, came out with basically, in a nutshell, saying we can't afford to let him go on a free. We have to sell him. We have to try to get him money. Then we heard the rumours about from Ornstein and Joyce, who said Liverpool are advanced talks. Today, there's been a bit of a backtrack from all those tier 1 journalists, guys. It's not only Twitter ITKs that can get things wrong. Tier 1 journalists are now suddenly having a slight backtrack and saying, well, it's not as advanced as we thought. And there's some are saying, so this is where I'm confused. And as I said, go and check out my show on my channel, guys. Grizz Khan, I've done a show with Ben Jacobs where I didn't necessarily agree with what Ben was telling me, even though Ben is very highly respected and everything else, and he's brilliant. He was a brilliant guest, and he's a friend of mine. But from what we know, Mo, of how Liverpool operate, is usually they have the buy-in from the player first. They agree with the player. You want us? Yo, we're Liverpool. And then we go to the club to finalize the deal. But the suggestions are that Marc Guehi is the one who's undecided about his next move, citing what you guys have been saying about World Cup here, etc., etc. If he's going to get enough playing time. But then Steve Parish, the chairman, said, no, we can't afford to let him go for free. It's a bit confusing, isn't it?
It is, and I just think this is going to stay between the two clubs for now until I think they're only drip feeding X amount of information to certain journals. So we don't really know what's going on. If I had to guess, if I was a guessing person, I'd like to think that I've read a couple of reports which I think are closer to the mark, or I like to think they are, is that we're just 5 odd million away from a discrepancy of 5 odd million. And I think because Palace have a sell-on fee to Chelsea, I think Parish is trying to get as much as possible so he can benefit and put it back in the coffers for Crystal Palace to spend. I agree with everyone on the panel that they've said already. With Mo, I want a defender coming on board who thinks they can get into the first team and challenge and have that mentality. I also agree with Keith saying there's going to be plenty of games this season. And everyone's thinking he's going to rotate with Ibu. I think he's going to rotate a lot with VVD. Virg is going to be. We're going to have to manage his minutes. We can't expect Virgil to play every single game. And I think it showed on the weekend that I wouldn't say he's losing it. That's a bit too early to call. But I think we can manage his minutes if we can have someone like Guehi who's more than comfortable to play. Come on, play on that left-hand side of defence. His passing range is amazing, similar to Van Dijk. So we're not going to lose much of a difference there. So I think he will get games. To answer your question, nobody knows really today where it is. But if I was a guessing person, I think Guehi will sign eventually. And I think it's just a PR dance about fees at the moment. That's my guess anyway.
So Mo thinks it's a fee situation, Lewis. But again, that's not what the journalists are suggesting. The journalists have today come out and said Marc Guehi's undecided. Which one makes more sense to you now after reading all the reports and hearing all the news? What's your assessment of the situation? Because it is a bit confusing. I'm not going to lie. Slightly confusing.
Yeah, I mean, I've read things that say that he's not pushing for the move. If Palace offer him a new contract, he's happy to sign it or something along those lines.
No. That's totally ruled out. He's definitely not extending at Palace. So that's ruled out. It's either he leaves on a free and doesn't, because he's not basically the line is he's not agitating for a move. Like,
oh no, sorry, that's what I meant. It was if he has to spend the next season at Palace, he's happy to. But if he can leave, like if we come in, he's happy to. Not a contract, sorry. But yeah, it's a weird one because there's so many conflicting reports, and a lot of them are just going to be falsified to sort of it's transfer season. Like you'll get clicks, you'll get views, blah blah blah. For me, I do think if he is adamant that he wants to leave, and he's not got any intention of signing a contract, it is just purely down to the World Cup's around the corner. Is he going to get into that team if he joins us? Possibly. There isn't a lot of depth there, but his chances are certainly lowered because he's not going to play every single match week in, week out. And also, I think the prospect of Palace being in Europe next season, while it's not the Champions League for the champions, of course, it's still a big thing to be a captain of a Crystal Palace team in Europe. That's not been done for ever, as far as I'm aware of, for a long time anyway. So, yeah, there is a lot of different factors into this. I'm not as confident that he does join. There is something about this that's just making me think, is it going to be this summer, or are we going to try and wait till next summer to get him on a free? Because we are, for all that we are spending money now, we are still a bit of a thrifty club in terms of the deals we can get done. And I think the prospect of Liverpool signing Leoni now, Slot's come out and said, look, Endo can play there. Look, Robertson can play there. Look, this and that can play there if we need to at centre-back. Are Liverpool going to hear that and think, right, we can hold off one more year before we get Guehi, when we know for definite what's happening with Konate, when we know for definite what the back four situation is going to be? I don't know what it is. There's some part of my brain that's just making me think it might not be this summer, but I'd love it to be. It's still a possibility. I'm just as conflicted as the journalist at this point, because I have not got a clue, to be honest, mate.
But Keith, this is the confusing part. It can't be for free. I don't think we're that bothered whether we have to pay a fee for him or get him on a free. The angle I'm trying to come from is the Palace owner's angle. He's saying, no. I'll accept, even if I have to, I'll accept 30 million in the end. Are we playing on that? Because he's come out and made his stance very clear, if you see what I'm saying. So Parrish has come out in an interview and said, no, we can't afford to let him go on a free. Either he signs or he's sold. Marc Guehi has said, I am not signing an extension. Marc Guehi is saying, I want to go to a club where I know I'm going to play enough minutes not to lose my England spot. So it's not, I don't think it's a discrepancy in price. I think Palace are under our thumb in terms of agreeing a price, because we'll say, yo, he wants to go. He's not signing. You're going to lose him for free. Here's 30 million. You know that meme? You know the guy that the man walks into the thing. Here's 50 million. Yeah. With the Red Bull. Yeah. We're saying, here's 30 million. F you. And I think Palace are ready to accept that. I think it's the player that's having, according to the tier one journalists, second thoughts. But then there are other journalists, and this is my personal belief, is that I think he's ready to join Liverpool. It's a tricky one. And I think he's confident enough. If someone said it, I think he's confident enough to think, I can get into this Liverpool team.
It's a dance for sure. You know what I mean? Everyone's having a dance at the moment. And I think Guehi's dancing around the idea of joining Liverpool somewhere else as well. Because to your point, if you think about it, yeah, there is a risk factor that he will not necessarily start every game, if that makes sense. It's not a guaranteed starter. Are there clubs in the world right now who are building squads together that have an absolute starter for him to slot into? And if that's the case, then he could have options open. I can't believe that Liverpool would be his only option. And I always find it quite interesting in the new era of finding out information about transfers. What seems to be written often when Liverpool do get a player is that they've usually agreed personal terms to some extent first.
Yeah.
When they haven't, that's when we're less
likely. Mess has happened.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of sparked, like, for example, with like stuff like Martin Zubimendi, this was a very similar situation that happened last season. Money wasn't the issue, but it was kind of like a year. Then all players had second thoughts. Clearly had his head turned by Arsenal by the sounds of it in the end. Same happened. Well, like I said, it was a little bit different, but my point being is, like, I hear where Lewis is coming from in that respect. Like, there could be, like, don't count your chickens yet. This isn't a Isak situation, if that makes sense, where it's very clear that it's a money between two clubs scenario. This scenario very well be that Marc Guehi may play his last games for Palace, if that's what his owner is saying, but his next game might not be for Liverpool.
Jericho sends in a super chat. Says, in my opinion, this is all about agent fees. Yeah, look,
That's an interesting take. That is an interesting take, which is interesting because Liverpool love paying agents. We're like the top when it comes to paying agents. They've been treated well over the years. Maybe John Henry's taken away the buffet or something.
Daza joins us this evening. Oh, how many have we signed this evening? Oh, gosh, I don't know what time it is out in the USA, but keep up, son. Keep up. Scouse Mo, what needs to be done after that? Leoni is in. Isak is in.
Oh, okay.
No, Isak is in.
I was going to say.
No, Isak is in. I don't need. I've told you in private, and I've told you. I've told everything. Isak is in. That's a proper game being played out. But forget that. Isak is in. We still need a winger. That debate, that that thing in our head. But this is where I'm gonna ask you guys. With this Italian stallion coming in, are we going to do a? Do you remember we kept Lovren for a season because he was best mates with Mo? Does Federico Chiesa get a lifeline and become the godfather to the young Italian stallion? You like that, yeah?
Like,
what are we saying?
You know what? Chiesa should stay just for the song that we have for him. Just for the song. Like, if we get rid of Chiesa, we're still gonna sing that song, right? Like, surely not. But yeah, I agree. Maybe he can be like that, his Italian best friend in the club. Everyone's talking about this summer being the best summer ever in terms of transfers, which I agree, it is the best summer ever. But for me to take it to a 10 out of 10 right now, after we signed Guehi and Leoni and Isak, if all three of those are confirmed, I'll rate it like a 9.4 out of 10 or something.
Oh, you're such a taskmaster. I know what you mean.
But the 0.6 is that one extra attacker.
Yes.
But I don't think we're going to get that extra attacker this summer. Highly unlikely. I think we'll go into the season with those 4 out-and-out attackers at the Ekitike, Gakpo, Salah, Isak, and then obviously you got Florian Wirtz as well. But I wouldn't classify him as one of the front three, really, to be fair. Although I think he can play. We've seen him on the weekend. He played in that false 9 kind of position for a little bit. And he can do a shift on the left wing. But for me, to make it a 10 out of 10 window, we have to sign another winger. But I don't think we will. Do I think that's a risk? I don't know.
So then we're going in with young Rio. We're going with Rio.
Is there a world where Elliot stays? Because I still haven't seen any links.
He was in talks with Leipzig a few days ago, but I don't know if that's went any further.
I can't see Elliot staying, man. But is Elliot an attacker?
Yeah, exactly. That's another point.
So Bozela has seemed to have found his new role hybrid much deeper. Is there a case, because I suggested a couple of weeks ago, keep Doak and Rio as
I want to keep Doak.
Auxiliary fifth,
to be honest with you. I'll
keep Ben Doak.
Wait, what games does he play? Like, realistically,
what games does Chiesa playing? Yeah, we want to keep him.
I think Chiesa. Well, if we can unlock the Chiesa from a couple of years ago, who's rated one of the best wingers in the world, if he can get back up to that level, then that's a far more useful and valuable asset in the team than a Ben Doak. Every time I've seen Ben Doak, I haven't really been that inspired. I'll be honest.
But it's harder, I think, to try and get someone to a level they were before a horrible injury from how many years ago than turn Ben Doak, who had a phenomenal campaign for Middlesbrough before injury, into a capable backup player who Chiesa's at an age where he wants to be back in the Italian team. He wants to be competing regularly. He's too good to be sat on not too good to be sat on the bench, but he's at a point where he can't be. Ben Doak's only 19 years old. He's going to get in the Scottish team regardless because he's one of the better players they've got. And he's able to rotate for a season or two. Mo's only got like 2 years left. So there's always the possibility.
But the Chiesa sign is just so confusing. Why did we get him last season? Like, what was the whole point? Like, we hardly gave him any minutes last season, and it looks like we're going to keep him for this season. Granted, he's got an amazing song.
Oh, I think that's a signing. That's a sporting director signing. That wasn't a slot decision.
100%.
I tell you, people don't look at that enough in that lens. Slot didn't want him.
That was a house split.
I mean, I think we're probably going to struggle selling them as well because he's on very high wages. I think he's on like 140k a week, which is ridiculous, to be honest, when you think about it. Is there a world where he can be part of the squad? I doubt it, to be honest, because every time I've seen him play, he doesn't look anywhere near the level. He looks very slow. I don't know what he would really bring to the team. So if I'm thinking about a fifth choice attacker, then it has to be Rio. But then I'm thinking, is it too?
And then when Salah goes AFCON?
When Salah goes AFCON, in my personal opinion, I think Frimpong will play in that position. Slots has hinted at that a few times now. He's
But
mentioned that
Bradley's injured as well at that time.
Bradley's injured, and then that goes back to our conversation earlier.
Gomez then comes in the right.
Gomez can come in and play at that right back position, and hopefully Bradley will be fit. Like best case scenario, Bradley will be fit. But then Bradley's a very offensive right back. Defensively, he's not that good, to be honest. Like he's all right defensively. He's very offensive right back. Can we see a world? Well, I think actually that kind of works with each other. If you've got Frimpong and Bradley on that right-hand side for like 3-4 games in January whilst AFCON's going on, maybe we can cope. And we've never really had the Salah replacement. So this whole logic of having a Salah replacement
We've got to start thinking about it now, lads.
Yeah. Why?
Because that's how you...
He's just come off the best season he's probably ever had. So I don't know. Everyone's got this mindset that he's gonna dip instantaneously this season. I highly doubt that.
He is.
He's not. Grizz, don't do that.
What's a dip? What are we calling a dip? Like what? If he still, if he has like a 2019-20 season where he gets 19 goals, is that a dip or is that
no
Salah levels? Yeah.
So what are you calling a dip then?
Yeah, that's it. How many did? Okay. Hot take time.
This is your hot take.
What was it? Lewis? What was his stats last season?
Is it in terms of goals and assists?
27 and 19 in the Prem, I think.
Yeah. So let me double check for you. I've got them off here. So last season, 24-25, Mo Salah put out in 38 Premier League matches. He got 29 goals and 18 assists.
Right, 29 goals and 18 assists. Yeah. Are you ready for my hot take?
Oh God!
Hot take. We all got to do one. I don't know why you lot and I want to hear yours as well. Don't be wussies now. Right. 25-26 season, Mohamed Salah. I don't know if it'll be the first time, guys. Back and find out for me. I don't think he reaches 20 goals.
But that's happened before, I'm pretty sure.
Has it happened before?
Yeah. 2019-20, he got 19 goals.
There you go.
We're talking just the league, yeah?
But that's fine, because I think you think about the players that we're bringing in. Well, Isak comes in. Hopefully, he's going to score 20 plus. Ekitike looks brilliant. Hopefully, he can score 20 plus. Wirtz is going to contribute.
I think Salah's going to become more of an assister.
I was just about to say, my hot take, he's going to get more assists and goals this season.
But his performances are not going to dip.
More assists and goals.
More of a career. That's an interesting take.
But just to be honest, going back to that Crystal Palace game, Palace.
Honestly, watch.
You haven't thought about that.
Going back to the Community Shield, the Crystal Palace game, that Salah performance was quite worrying. So I can see where you're coming from, Grizz.
Well, Salah's always shit in Wembley, though. Let's spade a spade. He never plays over.
I know. I'm not even thinking about Wembley and stuff. I'm thinking about the way the team was set up, because this is like the first time I think we've ever seen Salah without like a Szoboszlai on that side, or like Trent as well, obviously, and without Henderson even a few years back on that side, where they do a lot of like, I feel like there wasn't much of a relationship on that right-hand side. A lot of our build-up play, a lot of our football was coming from the left-hand side. And maybe that, because Szoboszlai was playing on the left-hand side of the midfield, maybe that's probably the case. I think that's an area that we might have to work on, to be fair.
Do you know what else adds to it as well? Sorry, and I don't believe it. I think he's still going to have an amazing season. I wouldn't doubt him for a minute. But last season, in his so obviously he had the season he did, and he went like on that massive stretch. In the last 9 games of the season last term, he only got 1 assist and 2 goals.
Yeah, we always have the Salah dip. But I will say on this topic that we started, by the way, Grizz, you mentioned about transfers and look, ultimately, when you look at Liverpool's transfer policy up until this has really been 1 in, 1 out. Let's call a spade a spade. Okay, we've spent, I think, upwards of 90 million over in terms of net spend, if you will, right, in and out as we operate. That will obviously reduce down with sales of the likes of Harvey Elliott, of the likes of Ben Doak, probably likely will go out the door, etc. I think Liverpool have more than enough like wiggle room to like go big on at least 2 attackers. And I think one of them is going to be of the likes of someone like Isak. I think another one, I would be surprised if we didn't go for a Cody Gakpo signing either now or in January, because Liverpool have always, like, for the modern Liverpool, like 5 attackers, particularly lately, this has been the minimum. And at the moment we've got 4. And I just can't think to myself that we're going to go into the new season or the future is going to be 4+ a young kid. Slot doesn't ever give me the vibes that he ever wants to put people of the age of Trey and Rio into real life situations. That means playing week in, week out, fighting week in, week out. I think he wants to give them opportunities, but I don't think that fifth spot's going to be for any of them. I think that fifth spot is open to like a Cody Gakpo, Luis Diaz type signing. And if we don't pull it off now, I think we pull it off in January for sure.
Yeah, there's a shout.
If Engamoa was gonna get, if he couldn't get minutes in the Community Shield, which is regarded, I don't know why I did that on Community Shield, but the Community Shield, which is viewed as a friendly, and he couldn't get minutes in that, realistically, is he going to get minutes against an Everton, a United, an Arsenal, a City, a Chelsea? Like, you know, is he going to be trusted in those big clutch moments when Gakpo's not at it?
But then that second signing that we do eventually make, hopefully if it's this summer or in January, we need to be very careful with who it is, and it doesn't block the pathway of Rio. So if we're going to go out and say, top of my head, I think we've been linked with that Malik Fofana a couple of times.
Yeah, it's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, he's left wing, he can play right wing as well. But say if you get him, he's only 20 years old. Does that block the pathway for Rio? So I think we need to be quite cautious on exactly who we get. But I agree. I think we definitely need some. We don't go into the season with 4. We need 5.
Here's a little bomber, but it didn't come off and it wasn't released into the media spheres. But Luis Diaz's replacement, one of the names we spoke to, whose agent we spoke to was Morgan Rogers of Aston Villa. Would we have liked that? Would you been like?
Isn't he more central though than on left?
Yeah,
I think like I like Morgan Rogers. I think he's a baller. I really do. I think he's a really, really top player. Is that what we need right now?
Well, obviously we didn't go for him in the end, so we just spoke to his agent. But obviously they've ended up selling Jacob Ramsey instead.
Yeah.
But then going back to like going on that left side or the right side or attacker. Apart from Fofana and Isak, who else have we actually been linked with? So I think we haven't been linked with.
We've been linked with a few players. Rodrigo, obviously, we've been linked with Gordon in the past. So we know we've got our eyes and ears open for that. But it is a tricky one because, like Mo says, we don't want to block the path of Rio, who is the future. But again, what Keith says. It's not about the future now. We're winning now.
Yeah.
We're looking to win games of football now. RD sends in a super chat. Says if Guehi comes in, I think Konate is going to Real. I don't think it's a coincidence. We suddenly move for 2 centre-backs. Something's changed behind the scenes. This is what's bugging everyone right now. This, I guess, is the topic that we're probably going to end on. It's the big dilemma about Ibu Konate. Everyone seems to think the fact that we've gone for 2 centre-backs, even though today's talk has been that we're not as close to Guehi as we thought. How do we deal with the Ibu Konate situation, Luis?
Well, use him while we still got him. Like, if he's not going to sign the deal, fine. Nothing we can do is going to change that if he decides he's not to. But the people who are suggesting, drop him to the reserves, don't bother. What benefit are you getting from that? You're still losing him on a free and you're losing him from your first team. So what's the benefit of doing it? If he's going to stay here for the season, if he is adamant he's not signing a contract, use him. Use and abuse him while he's still here. Because at the end of the day, if he's going, it is what it is. But he's still one of the most talented centre-backs in the league. He bailed us out at big moments last season. He's still one of the most physically imposing defenders you're going to find across Europe, arguably. To completely drop him from the team and essentially make that back 4 into a whole brand new back line bar Van Dijk is a big gamble. You need that solidity of Konate and Van Dijk in the middle to start with just to get things going. If Guehi's going to come in later, brilliant. There is no benefit of me. I know people say maybe sell him. It's a big risk because you look at what we're doing right now with Guehi and Leoni. Okay, let's say we sell Konate. We're essentially back where we started. Yeah. Gomez is still going to be injury prone. Leoni's not ready to step up into that first team mantle. And if we get Guehi, brilliant. If we don't get Guehi, we're in a worse off position than we're starting with. So just keep him here. Let it run out the contract. I'm not really asked anymore about contract talk with players. Just use him while he's here and just get to the end of the season and win the league again. And then he can just do what he wants because I'm past caring, to be honest.
Anybody else got anything to say on Ibu Konate's situation scenario? Anybody? I doubt anybody's happy to see him go. always there. First and foremost, is
The
anybody?
only thing I'll say about him is if he wants to go and join Real Madrid, I'm questioning him because why does he want to go and cover that right back again?
Yeah,
For
Yeah.
for the last 3 years.
Like,
Yeah.
didn't he feel like that calm and relaxation to see a right back that actually wants to defend and is motivated to defend only a couple of days ago in that Community Shield game? I'm questioning his logic. Why does he want to go there to cover somebody? Like,
He wants
I will
to
say, one thing on Ibu for me is I think over the years, we've become quite accustomed to letting players go that we actually rate quite highly. Our first team players, maybe not the main stars, but, you know, do really, really well in their position. I always think of the likes of Emre Can as a big example that FSG have set in the past. If you don't agree with the terms of the deal, then, you know what I mean? It's not going to be the end of the world. I don't think the club see him at the same level that they see Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah. They're very few and far between. So I think with Ibu, if that is the move that he's angling for, I don't think they'll let him go for free in the same way that they've let others go for free. If he pushes and he starts getting a bit like, oh, okay, Real Madrid coming for a bid, Ibu starts, you know, looking left, looking right, I think the club will accept a bid in for him. I just don't know if FSG see him in the same light as maybe other players in that respect. And on the flip side, it's a massive risk, you know, whatever happens. Typical Real Madrid to unsettle us just before the season begins. If they put a bid in, it's going to get saucy. I'll tell you that. It's going to get very, very, very interesting. So it is one to watch, unfortunately. And I suppose it kind of makes what's going to be, for me, it's an unknown season. I think this links to that. I think we're going into the unknown this season in a big, big way. And yeah, you got to find your own ways to be confident what we're going into, because this is going to be, I mean, we talked about Liverpool 2.0 many times. This is at least like Liverpool, the next generation, because, you know, this is a whole different vibe we're going into next season.
I guess away from the transfers, which will sort of obviously open up and sort of know where we are by the end of the week in all cases. Before that, probably, there's a small matter of the first game of the season. Have we got a lineup in mind of our heads? What we would like to see? Is there any decisions that are worth pondering over, or does the team pick itself? Walshmo, first come to you for the incorrect lineup.
Same lineup as the Palace game, minus Jones. Instead of Jones, I think Mac gets a start. But apart from that, same lineup. So Ali in goals, Frimpong, Konate, VVD, Kirkesh, Mac, Dom, Wirtz, Gakpo, Mo, Hugo.
Picks itself, guys. I don't think anyone else will have any changes with that. What are you expecting?
I think Maka will be on the bench, to be honest, to start with. I don't think he's back up to fitness. I think it'll be the exact same team, and then Maka will come on.
By the way,
as the game progresses.
It was a Hall of Shame cameo from him. And,
it's a shocking performance.
And him and who was the other guy that came on?
Endo.
Yeah.
Now, I know some people. I came back to Twitter and some people were praising Endo.
No,
for what for? He was swinging in a miss.
Bro, Endo and McAllister were Hall of Shame cameos.
I once gave them so many flowers in the Mac-Endo partnership back in the day. That was Hall of Shame. Remember, if I don't remember, didn't they win a League Cup together when we played? Yeah. That was night and day performance between those two.
Bro, that formation change from a slot was disgusting. We looked
it was a strange one, wasn't it?
Amateur team we look like, from such a fluid, intricate passing, skillful, technical. Wow, Liverpool. Suddenly we were getting bamboozled by Palace. Like Wharton and Will Hughes.
That Will Hughes, by the way.
Oh, what a guy.
Honestly, he's always been one player that every time we played against him, he's always impressed me. Whether it was at like Watford.
Ismail Sarr's the same.
Ismail Sarr. I was about to say Sarr. Sarr does this all the time. Every game he does this. Even when he was with Watford, he did this. Like,
Yeah. When that Kamada got injured the other day, and then that Will Hughes came on, I was like,
oh shit. I thought Wharton was absolutely immense. And I tell you what, can I look? I love glorifying in things that I get right. It's only fair that I cuss myself when I get things wrong, and and criticize myself. Hands up, and I'm so sorry, Mateta. I wasn't familiar with your game.
Oh, I was telling you this.
I would love Mateta.
I was telling you about Mateta.
It was. I'm sorry. I wasn't familiar with your game. Mr. Mateta, you are an absolute handful. Every time he's come up against Ibu and Virgil, he's given them the hardest time. Ran into the channels, got a touch about him, physical. I tell you, man, he could do a job for a bigger team.
I mean, I'm surprised Newcastle haven't gone for him. He'd be really good for them.
Yeah, he'd be a favourite there. There. Yeah. Bournemouth at home seems to be like sort of every week they're selling a defender or a player. Are we all confident, or is there any apprehension? Anyone?
I just don't think we know what we don't know.
And we
don't know what we don't know with Liverpool. The one thing I'll say that I've seen throughout pre-season, even though I don't put as much emphasis into performances, but we do play some nice stuff. I see us fading out a little bit. You know what I mean? We fade out a little bit, especially towards the second half in a lot of the games. So I'll put that down to fitness and maybe being switched on. But I think that's going to be the hardest part of the new signings, learning pretty quickly, is that, you can't be doing it in spurts. Do you know what I mean? We've got to be clinical, and, we've got to be switched on throughout the 90 minutes because, we have conceded a lot of goals. Let's call it a fact. You know what I mean? We've conceded a lot of goals during pre-season. It's not been tight at all. And I think with Bournemouth, they've got a brand new team, pretty much a brand new centre-back pairing. I think it's Senesi, if I'm not mistaken.
We're going to sign that Diakate as well, like a new defender.
Yeah. Both the centre-backs have gone. The starting centre-backs, Hoyson and Zubiani.
And Kirkes. And they've signed a new guy on their wing back who looks pretty tight.
Konate and Sensai still there. Senesi.
And we always do well, don't we? In any stats behind the Liverpool first game of the season? When was the last time we lost?
Yeah, no, but don't do those ones, innit? Like, stats are there to
I think Mo Salah has scored in the last 7 first games of the season.
Yeah. The first game we lost was 2012, I think, or 2011. It was one or the other. Was it Middlesbrough or Blackpool or something? I can't remember, but it was like 2011, 2012.
Ravanelli hat trick.
They've lost 4 of their back 5, including keepers. Kepa.
That's right, yeah. So,
guys, I haven't asked for any likes or subscribes, so I'm going to do it right at the end because there's still 6,000 watching on Twitter and 500 on YouTube.
I think
amazing support for such a late show.
Come back to the question, Chris. I think Friday, it's going to be a very pumped up atmosphere, emotionally driven because it's the first game since Jota. There's going to be obviously tributes there. It's a night game. There's going to be passion, and it's the first game of the season. I think if we play like we did the first half, we'll blow them away. I generally think that. My only concern is what Keith said. Have we got the gas for the 90 minutes? Are we going to be switched on for the 90 minutes? Are our defensive frailties, should we say, going to rear its ugly head again? Only time will tell. But I'm confident that we should beat them comfortably. I'm not confident on a clean sheet, although I'd love a clean sheet. I'd love to start a season with a clean sheet. I really would. But I just don't think we will. But I do think we are going to win. I think we are going to win comfortably as well. I hope so, because I'm going to go there and I'm looking forward to it. So
I was going to ask a quick question. Who plays on the right-hand side for Bournemouth? Is it
Avenir, isn't it?
All I'm saying is, from what I've seen of Kirkes so far, I'm a little bit worried. I can't lie to you.
Oh, okay. Really? Can you make a note of that and discuss it at the start of the show next time, please?
Yeah. Don't worry, we can talk about it.
I want to hear that because I've got a theory about him as well. But so it's interesting.
I'm a little bit worried about my guy, but yeah,
interesting. Okay,
hope for the best.
Well, listen, we must win. I don't think there's any options because we have Newcastle and Arsenal in the following games. So it doesn't get any easier. Newcastle away and Arsenal. Oh my God. We know football's back. The tension's back. The stress is back. The team predictions, the analysis, the everything is back, people. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Head over to my channel as well if you haven't already. I know a lot of you have followed me onto here as well, but someone was asking, is this my new channel? No, but my channel is still active. I've started putting stuff out now, so go and check out Grizz Khan. It's not Football Carnage anymore, so that's why you're probably getting confused. Just type in Grizz Khan and it will come up. I'm really tired. I need to sleep, lads. Thank you very much, Mo. 2 Mo's and Lewis and Keith. I know it's a bit of a late one, but we thought we watched Spurs do a Spursy. Unbelievable. It is what it is. Apart from that, as per usual, thank you very much for your support, and peace, love, and tranquility.